He finishes his opponents with such disrespect that they're begging to have him banned from the UFC. Michael Venom. Page has been destroying opponents across every martial art and in multiple leagues for 2 decades. Now it's time for him to tear through UFC fighters and take the championship belt. But where did this dancing fighter come from? Let's start from the very beginning. British-born Michael Page got into the world of martial arts from birth. His parents studied Kung Fu Kangar and instilled their passion in their children from childhood, leading them to participate in their first tournaments at an early age. He grew up alongside his siblings, each of whom also practiced martial arts. Michael competed in his first kickboxing tournament at the age of 5. By the age of 8, he was already flying to Germany to compete, and almost every week he participated in British tournaments. The victory of 12-year-old Michael at the US Open Championship in Orlando was significant and even a little bizarre. Things happened during those fights that had never happened before. He said, "I was dodging punches I didn't even see coming. Things were happening before I even realized it." Back home in the United Kingdom, he was suddenly too good for the British kids. No one could stand up to Page. By the age of 13, he was given permission by his father to compete against adults. He fought a lot. For every tournament, Page entered himself in 3 weight classes. On one occasion, he had 22 fights in a single day across 5 categories and won them all. In his weekly bouts, he honed his own style, an entertainer's style. Applause. In an interview, he said, "I realized one thing. If you understand, the sport of counting points will not be fun. I was trying my best to attract as many people as possible, but I like to ignore other people's work." Page drew inspiration from everything he could get his hands on, from Anderson Silva's fights to Michael Jackson's dance plasticity and even Jackie Chan movies. Here and there, he found moves that he adapted into his own style. He said, "I always knew that whatever I did, I would do it my way. Otherwise, I wouldn't be happy with it." He went on to win several kickboxing championships in different versions, but he was particularly strong in semi-contact, where the fight lasts only until the first clear hit. He also placed second at the 2010 World Martial Arts Games. Page had won almost every kickboxing trophy he could, and at that point, he felt he had stopped developing. He spent several years doing gigs that brought him no money or fame. A popular amateur kickboxer couldn't make a living from the sport. A born showman like him couldn't stay within a strict routine. To reveal his talent, he needed a bigger stage. Michael decided to switch to MMA. "I was doing so well in kickboxing. I wanted a new challenge. And that's what regional MMA brought me, mixed martial arts." After a long search for a training camp, he settled on London Shoot Fighters, one of the oldest gyms in Britain. Having started training in July 2011, by the following February, 24-year-old Michael got his first fight. His opponent was another debutant, Ben Dishman. Venom dealt with him in a minute, music, and even had time to squeal a little. He also remembered to pose for the camera instead of taking a shot, while the London Shoot Fighters corner screamed at him, trying to get him to take it seriously. And there's a spinning kick. Unbelievable. This guy's kickboxing pedigree is something else. I told you, gentlemen, this guy is an explosive athlete. It was incredible confidence for a debut. Venom in the cage. Page is an artist. He's been dubbed the new Anderson Silva. But Venom's passion for the game could cost him the win. And the audience knew it. After the fight, he said, "It's weird that my style is getting negative attention. A lot of people say, 'Yeah, you look amazing,' and then they ask how long I'm going to last. Sponsors say, 'We like you and want to spend money on you, but we don't know how long you'll last.'" In his next fight, Page seriously overpowered his opponent's arm with an armbar. "Oh, get clipped!" Page gets clipped. Listen to the armbar. This man has submissions too. He's done it. Wow. The referee screamed, "Stop!" numerous times. But that didn't stop him from showing the audience his tongue while he kept applying the technique. He also had his only professional kickboxing fight against Jefferson George, and he was there to bring it. Page was playing again, dancing into the fight. He was swinging his arm Apollo style, without forgetting to strike accurately. And there it was. the dancing. Sometimes George himself crushed his opponent's thin legs and delivered spectacular blows, but it was impossible to beat Page on his own turf. Walking him down. Wow, a deceptive move, a knockout. And again, it was a spectator's game. Venom knew for sure that his opponent would not get up. After this victory, he signed with 2 promotions, American Bellator and the Indian Superfight League. Michael made his debut in the Indian promotion, facing undefeated Egyptian Haitham Tantawi. Venom raised his hand victoriously even before the bell. Let's fight. Round 1, baby. He had learned well how to confuse his opponents with his unpredictable style, keeping them in constant tension, never knowing where the next blow would come from. Oh, the Egyptian could not cope with his footwork, making it nearly impossible to attack him. And most importantly, he couldn't handle Page's sense of distance. Another knockdown, 1-2 combo, but it was too early to celebrate. A beautiful finish was taken away from Page by the doctors. Michael didn't let that happen when he made his Bellator debut. Good time. It's Miller time. Oh, good right hand. He's in big trouble. That is it. A 1-knockout win. Bellator MMA, boxing, and bare-knuckle fights. Michael Page was now shining in his US and Bellator debut. Next up for Venom was Ramdan Muhammad at middleweight. Page continued to land 1-2 blitz combinations. Ramdan met him with a right hand and then tried for a takedown. But Michael was ready, defending against the takedowns, showing off his jaw, pulling Muhammad toward him and striking back. He got everything right. Muhammad went into the clinch again, only to end up on the floor, where MVP easily choked him out. Elbows, elbows! Applause. Afterward, Page finally faced his first relatively serious opponent, future UFC fighter Ricky Rainey, who had a 9-2 record. The fight ended in round number 1. Throughout the bout, the American tried to close the distance and get into the clinch, but Venom easily avoided it, ending the encounter with a devastating right through the guard. Big right hand, that's it. Kevin McDonald steps in. This time, he took a bow to the crowd. For Michael, just like that, he was 6-0. Man, he just put the rest of his division on notice. Applause. After only 2 fights in Bellator, Michael had become one of the most discussed fighters in the company. The nature of those discussions varied. For every fan he gained, Page also gained haters who disapproved of his bravado. But Page had this to say: I think it's important for fighters to entertain. It's part of our job. People pay good money to see us, which allows us to make money. We have to put on a show. That's what athletes are afraid of during a fight. They don't reveal themselves. They have a fear of losing. But as for me, I prefer to enjoy it. And Page went on to put on a show. This time against the showmanship of Venom's next opponent wasn't on the same level, so they had to work him until the final bell. But that's always a risky gamble when facing Michael Venom Page. Nashon Burrell was followed by Rudy Bears, who didn't ruin Michael's show and fell in the first round. Oh, huge left. And it's over. Down the track. It's one of those things, you can't believe what you just saw. You just saw Michael Venom Page. Beautiful shot. Applause. Bellator debutant Charlie Ontiveros was next. Nice elbows. These are big shots. That's it. Another victory for Michael Venom Page. MVP then forced Jeremy Holloway to submit, bringing his record to 10-0. Right hand by Page, and that rocks him. That hurt him from there. He can push him with the foot, but he can't kick it. And that's it. He reversed ankle locked him, counter ankle locked him. He promised us we would see something new, and we did. Among the 10 opponents he defeated, there wasn't a single fighter the audience had known before the fight. After such a fun and dominant start, more was expected of Page. Bellator management needed to pair him with someone known to the fans. Venom signed a contract to fight Paul Daly, but Daly decided instead to fight Douglas Lima. The choice then fell to Evangelista Santos, a veteran of many battles. Page immediately started hammering his opponent, a 1-2 combination and a takedown, effectively, and won by judges' decision. Michael advanced to the semifinals of the Grand Prix, where former champion Douglas Lima was waiting for him. Page started the fight with a signature series of punches. The Brazilian was ready. He wasn't frustrated by Venom's mind games and refused to be hypnotized by Page's movements. Lima calmly attacked with front leg kicks, and Page responded with crosses. Lima read those attacks well. Once in the clinch, on Boxing Day last year, Lima didn't force the action and was slow to approach Page's head, but he defended everything well. Venom started the second round with a spinning kick. He caught Lima with a 1-2 and rushed into attack. He's not quite at 100%. Oh, and there it was. What a shot by Lima. Douglas Lima had just defeated Michael Venom Page in impressive fashion. Page had been throwing the same combination too many times, and he was finally being read. That right hand, boom, touches the chin. He is unconscious. You see him go out right away. Watch this! Pow! He's out! Michael calmly accepted the first defeat of his career, and it seemed like it would push him to make changes. But in his next fight, Venom faced an unknown Irishman, Richard Keeley. The fight was notable mostly for the unsportsmanlike behavior of both fighters. First, Keeley showed a middle finger to Page. Then Michael responded by pretending to take selfies on an invisible phone. Applause. And after scoring the knockout, Michael parodied his opponent's swimming celebration brilliantly. Music Page needed a long recovery. He headlined the Bellator London tournament with a fight against Giovanni Melillo. The fight didn't last long. His next opponent was Shinsho Anzai, who had an 11-3 record. This time, Page flew to Japan. Go! Throughout the fight, he habitually picked his opponent apart from a distance and then caught him with a countercross, and he's starting to look like a kid in a sports opener. It is all over, just like that. Michael Venom Page finished 2019 with 3 wins. For the winner's announcement, he wore a Ziploc armband and a cape from the anime Naruto. After handing the first loss to previously unbeaten Scott Rose Houston, Page faced Derek Anderson, who held a 16-4 record. Venom was in his usual style, moving and attacking with his hands down. Anderson accepted the challenge, also dropping his hands from his head defense. For dropping his hands, Anderson paid the price, suffering a broken nose. The doctor was forced to stop the fight. After such a brutal victory, Bellator gave Michael the chance to avenge his only career loss at the Bellator 267 tournament. Fans witnessed the long-awaited rematch between Michael Page and Douglas Lima. By this time, Douglas had won the welterweight tournament and had even defeated the once promising Rory McDonald. Lima wanted success beyond the welterweight division, so he tried his luck at middleweight, where he lost to champion Gegard Mousasi. The Brazilian is going to walk away with another piece of gold. He certainly hopes so. That's what he was afraid of. And now, 2-time Bellator middleweight world champion Gegard Mousasi. Returning to his weight class, Lima defended his title against Ukrainian Yaroslav Amosov, but lost again, this time due to grappling issues. Applause. However, with Michael Page, he didn't have to worry about takedowns, which added even more intrigue to whether MVP could avenge his humiliating defeat. From the first seconds, Michael showed no fear of Douglas, landing a jumping strike that staggered his opponent. It wasn't a knockdown, but soon Page landed a shot that did result in one. After dominating the striking exchanges, Lima decided to test himself in wrestling, successfully taking MVP down for about 2 minutes in the early second round. Both fighters landed low kicks. Page delivered his signature jab, and Lima recalled his strategy from their first fight, countering with a low kick and attempting to catch Page with an uppercut. However, this time MVP evaded. A flying knee missed its mark, but a subsequent hook connected. A jab followed by an elbow dropped Lima. Page convincingly won the first 2 rounds, but in the third, he faltered, a round Douglas claimed. However, it didn't matter as Lima needed a finish. Known for constantly taunting his opponents, Holland was genuinely taken aback. Page impressed with his distance control, speed, wrestling defense, and audacity. He tagged his opponent multiple times and confidently secured a unanimous decision victory. Now, Michael Page ranks among the top 10 welterweights globally. Such a brilliant performance by MVP sparked major interest in him, with fans demanding that management set up an exciting matchup. There were many rumors about a potential fight with fellow karate master Stephen Thompson and other fighters who prefer to stand and strike. However, unexpectedly, instead of those matchups, the UFC organized a fight between Michael Page and Ian Machado Gary. a top prospect from Ireland with 13 wins and no losses. Despite Ian Gary's confident words about outstriking Michael Page, the reality turned out to be quite different. Overwhelmed by fear, Gary immediately resorted to grappling. However, his attempts at wrestling didn't go well either. So he resorted to clinching and pinning Page against the cage, effectively stifling any chance for Michael to fight. In doing so, the young Irishman avoided a proper fight and secured a win by doing everything possible to avoid striking exchanges. Even after this loss, no one was eager to accept fights against Michael Page, leaving him with a bold decision to make. To give his next opponent a confidence boost, Michael chose to move up in weight and challenge the undefeated prospect Shara "Bullet" Cannonier. Younger, bigger, and theoretically stronger, Shara posed a serious threat. Most importantly, despite his Dagestani Chechen appearance, Shara is a striker. This time, a striking showdown was guaranteed. Fight night didn't disappoint. On the contrary, it impressed. Michael could comfortably stay in the stand-up and not worry about ground control, allowing him to simply toy with the undefeated prospect, outstriking him in every round and winning all exchanges. Easier said than done. Shara had a long history in his gym and experience that made him a tough opponent. Yet Page's skill and strategy made him the first fighter to defeat Shara "Bullet" Cannonier, who would go